Hello, class. My name is Darian Johnson. I'll be talking about reading, the science of reading, and the title of my presentation is Reading, How It All Began. My name is Darian Johnson. This is our Reading 5013. So, a brief introduction. In this presentation, we'll go over the science of reading. We'll break down the theoretical models, compare and contrast, coda emphasis versus meaning emphasis, and the breakdown of orthographic mapping. Let's start with the science of reading. So as you know, reading is how we process information, going from the text, print to speech, and then from print to meaning. As you know, there's a big umbrella with reading, and it has those four categories listed that we see in this presentation, and then we'll go more in depth in those later on down the line of the presentation. And then we have it's also the effect with teachers and how they teach reading. We go various directions with teaching reading, starting from kindergarten all the way into grade school, and so we want to have those methods in place with teachers to put those skills in place with students to be able to itemize those things that are needed to be a better reader. So, and then also this concept of reading came through, has many research ideas that have come about from many researchers from the past all up into the present now. They've done so much research as far as how can we make students better readers, or what ways can we have students to be acclimated to be better readers. So let's start with the simple view of reading. So this is developed by Goh and Tumner in 1986. It gives a breakdown of reading comprehension. So basically reading comprehension is just word recognition and then understanding what you're reading. As a student in grade school, we were told that reading comprehension is how you read and being able to understand the information, not just reading the words that are on the page, understanding who, what, when, where, and why this passage, is the reason we're understanding the information that's being presented to us. And so there's a formula that comes with the simple view of reading, and it's a decoding times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. And so I examined the formula, and I'm understanding. I was trying to see what actually was the meaning behind it. And so, decoding comes in with, understanding what am I reading? How can I relate to the information that's, deciphering what is going on in this story or this passage? Language comprehension, understanding, what are they saying, how they're speaking, the certain dialogue that's going on through this passage, and then, tying those two together, so I have my understanding of what the story is about and how they're saying or what direction they're taking the story in. And so overall you get the whole gist of the story and understanding from beginning to end. So that's where reading comprehension comes into place. I definitely see that it favors the Scarborough reading rope theory, because you have, let's say, decoding is the one strand and then language comprehension is the other strand. And so they're coming together in one, and then you'll come into that one strand. That one strand will be reading comprehension. So I definitely can see that favoring the Scarborough reading theory. So this leads us to the Scarborough reading rope. It's developed by Hollis Scarborough. So it starts off with two strands, and those two strands are very, very important. Word recognition and language comprehension are two important things when it comes to reading. I didn't really, as in grade school or up in the high school, we, read to be reading, and, we understood the information, but did we actually attain the information? And so now that I'm understanding about these research methods or that are coming about, such as Scarborough's reading rope, I get an understanding that, language comprehension and word recognition are two totally important things. Very important. And so we have to, that strand is just woven, and that's how, with those two strands, we're able to produce skilled readers. I definitely can see how that comes into play with me becoming a future teacher. I definitely won't, even with, I desire to teach social studies. So I definitely can see the language comprehension and the word recognition because of the certain transition of language from, back in the earlier 18th and 19th century, how they spoke, and then understanding the different terms that they used back then and trying to put it in today's terms. And so that word recognition and that language comprehension definitely comes into play. And so those two strands come together, and their students are be able to understand, this situation happened back then. And, now we're And now today, this is kind of like what's going on back then. So understand those terms and trying to bring it up to speed to students and try to get them to visualize that information. The 4-part mental processor, it was derived in 1989 by Seidenberg. So you have the 4-part processing. So you have the context processing, meaning processing, phonological processing, and orthographic processing. And so those processes are just in connection with the 4 parts of the brain. Is definitely what I got from the text. They attribute the 4 parts of learning and the literacy. So they do come into play as far as processing information and understanding what is being read. That also comes into play with reading comprehension. So we have Airspace, a world level reading. And so you have, it was created by Lena Ayer. Hope I said that right. And so we have the 4 phases. Of course, in the description, we have the pre-alphabetical phase, so that's the reading visual cues, seeing things that you see all the time. Partial alphabetic phase is, some sound and some spelling, how certain words sound. You may not at that age, certain age, you may not know how to spell them, but you know how to say them. You know how to sound it out. Full alphabetic phase, most common sound and spell. So, most common words that you do hear as a child going to me, you know how to spell them. So the consolidated alphabetic phase, chunks of letters within words. And so, there's those certain words there, those certain sounds that we hear in words that make up that sound. And so you're trying to grasp those together to put them together. And then I found that there was, I saw there was 4, but I decided I want to put this one on here because there's actually a 5th one, and it's automatic phase. Granted, I didn't put it in on this presentation, but I did want to put it in this description. Proficient word reading. And so now what I got from proficient word reading is just clearly automatic, I know, going through, say, like a sentence, that student can read that sentence from beginning to end. So I say the proficient word reading, understanding the words that they are actually reading, and also saying those words and being, not being able to stumble over. So that's where I got from automatic phase. So we have phonological awareness. It's needed very much so. Phonological awareness is general appreciation of how language can be divided into components. For example, we speak in sentences. Sentences can be broken down into words into syllables, and then onset rhyme. When the word is broken down into smallest parts, individual sounds or phonemes. The term phonemic awareness is used. Phonemic awareness is a sub-skill and a broad category of phonological awareness. So the ability to recognize and those sounds, it is needed for differentiating sounds between words, recognizing rhymes, symbols, and phonemes. And so those are very important. So as you can see in this description that I have, it is, where phonological awareness is under a big umbrella. And so as you see that the raindroplets are some of those things that are listed in this PowerPoint. So you have your rhyme, alliteration, your syllables, understanding that is a big, all those raindrops are honed under the umbrella of phonological awareness, and we need phonological awareness. And now I can see that phonological awareness is needed. Phonics, teaching the connection between specific sounds and correct corresponding letters leads to being able to read unfamiliar words. So that comes into play as well with phonological awareness. Comes in connection with that as well. We have fluency, reading accurately. That's just basically your speed, kind of like your speed reading, being able to comprehend the information while reading it at a certain speed. And I noticed that in grade school, we, like 1st through 3rd grade, we gradually work on that. So that way by 4th grade, you're understanding, I understand what am I reading, with this passage, and I'm able to complete, this passage, in a certain amount of time and still be able to understand the information that I'm being read that I'm understanding. So, vocabulary, just knowledge of words and word meanings, understanding what is being read, using context clues and trying to understand, what the actual word is meaning without, having to use a dictionary. Comes with reading comes with a better vocabulary. So vocabulary works hand in hand with reading comprehension because you have to understand the words to understand what you're reading, correct? So, that's definitely a great, look into that as well. So we're moving to code emphasis versus meaning emphasis. And so code emphasis, learn a specific code or set of letter and words, just trying to get an understanding of, how those words correlate, how those letters correlate with those words, and trying to get an understanding of what am I understanding? How can a student understand those words, and are they using the words in the right direction? So many emphasis focus on the reading of the whole word. Understand the overall word. And yes, I know how to spell the letter and spell the word, but I also know how to understand the words as well. Try to understand the word and get the meaning out of the word, basically. So we have orthographic mapping, recognizing sight words. Basic skill in grade school, understanding the proficiency of letter and phoneme recognition. A quote came from a text: "Those who study orthography generally agree with children learn about the orthographic form expensive reading." So having them have the extensive knowledge and understanding of those words by giving students to understand the ability to understand those words and see those words is really about the orthograph. And come to find out, orthographic mapping is really needed. Granted, this is my first time hearing about this, but I kind of see that it's really needed. So in conclusion, the science of reading is supported by 4 theories. The need for phonological awareness is unimaginable. I just couldn't see anything without phonological awareness. We were able to distinguish the meaning between cold emphasis and mini emphasis. I got a better understanding of orthographic mapping because I did not know what that was off top. And so, and then the study gave a better understanding of lasting effect on children's today's society. So I know that the studies have shown from those theoretical models that they have given the research and understand that they can derive skilled readers in today's society. And here are my sources. I hope that you enjoyed my video. I thank you for your time for watching my video. And yeah, thank you.